I'm on a journey back to a place that takes me right back to where many of my core beliefs were formed. Coles Bay was the original home for Sarah Ann, my 18-foot King Billy Pine day sailor. Whether consciously or not, a wooden boat builder taps into nature, relying on its inherent order to guide the builder to a thing of beauty. It is in fact the underlying order and its reflection of the natural world that makes a boat so compelling. Lawrence W. Cheek, boat builder and architect. I've returned to Coles Bay on the Fraser Peninsula on the east coast of Tasmania. It is a place of great beauty where we were entertained with whales passing by the fisheries. The fisheries was an early whaling station from where whales in the bay were hunted to near extinction. But today we just watch in awe as they cruise into Great Oyster Bay on a little sidetrack on their annual migration north. And it is the natural home of Sarah Ann, the 18-foot day sailor built by John Philp, that I'm currently restoring. The sublime beauty of Coles Bay has served as inspiration for the creation of a number of really beautiful wooden boats by boat builders John Philp and Noel Mundy. With the images of whales in my mind, I strike out early in the morning to climb up over the saddle to enjoy the incredible view over Wineglass Bay. It's a long and steep climb, but the views from the top simply take your breath away. Come with me on a pre-dawn walk as I clamber between the granite boulders towards the top of the saddle. It's day 2 back on task and it feels great. Even though we've got a bit of a grey and foggy day. It seems that Millie would definitely prefer to stay inside out of the cold. Millie, are you comfortable there? Or would you like me to fluff your pillows up a bit more for you? The workshop's a little bit on the compact side of things, but it's adequate, and after all, I'm only going to be working on her for just a period of a month or two, and then she'll be back in the water. Now, today's project is to continue working on the wet exhaust system. Might get it pretty well completed today, I reckon. Of course, anyone that's been following this channel for a while will realise that I'm pretty consistently over-optimistic. So here's something you don't see very often these days. King Billy Pine is an endemic Tasmanian species, and Sarah Ann, as I've mentioned before, the hull is planked in King Billy Pine. It's always been very limited in availability, and sadly a lot of it was wasted post-war in the building boom, so vast amounts of it were squandered. But these days it's completely locked up and treated as an endangered species. And I came across this piece which was sort of a bit of a bulkhead, a lightweight bulkhead in the boat, and it seems to be Kimberley pine plywood. Now, I recall back in the 80s visiting the Guns factory where they were peeling logs, and they would peel various species. At that stage they were putting it onto MDF, but they would peel some minor species such as blackwood and celery top pine, and it would appear that if you go back a bit further that they were peeling those selected logs of Kimberley pine and creating plywood with it, which makes a lot of sense really, because it's a way of making a small volume of timber go a very long way. So this is rotary peeled plywood in Kimberley pine. I'm standing in front of my favourite toy shop, probably in the whole of Australia, Tasmanian. It's just at the bottom of the hill from where I am, and everything that I need is there. Just before I scoot inside to pick up a few things, here's a quick tour around the yard.
These bodies can take quite a beating. They make love and heal broken bones, and keep you just fine until something inside the size of a speck starts to grow. A friend was a month from his wedding when he was sat down for the news. Then his wife, the nurse, took him over to church and said a prayer to the Savior they knew. And oh, sometimes I wonder if there's a reason life gets so hard. Well, maybe you find what holds you together when things try to tear you apart. The wedding was a hell of a party. We all drank and danced all night, and watched and smiled when he spun her around, and he held her body so tight. The next day his wife took a razor, shaved off every hair on his head, looked at his face and said, I love you just the same, as they wandered swiftly back to bed. Sometimes I wonder if there's a reason life gets so hard. Well, maybe you find what holds you together when things try to tear you apart. And there were pillow talks when they couldn't sleep, and there were tear tracks wiped from their cheeks, fighting for no reason at all, with a helping hand to pick up every fall. Till they were sat down and waiting. 6 long months had gone by, and they got the news that the cancer he was gonna be alright. As he started, she kissed him on his head. He said he loved her, and he was finally cured of any doubts he ever had. Well, oh, sometimes I wonder if there's a reason life gets so hard. Well, maybe you find what holds you together when things try to tear you apart. So maybe you find what holds you together when things try to tear you apart.
Now there's only one problem with all that. and someone very kindly pointed out to me that I'd fitted the raw water strainer the wrong way around, so there was a possibility that it could pressurise and scoop water into the system and end up flooding your engine. So I've got to take it out again and turn it around, face it the other way. But that's okay. So I'll see you next week. Have a video on more of the technical details of putting together the rest of the raw water system and the wet exhaust. In the meantime, give me a thumbs up and send me a comment. I do reply to comments. See you next week.